I figured I would learn by doing.
Yes.
So that's gonna happen. It's great. Thank you for all the office fireworks and stuff. Oh yeah, we would love your outfits. Thank you. I go honestly, I understand. I said it wasn't, you know, how stuff like you envision an outfit, it doesn't look the way you wanted it to, the shirt doesn't look the way I wanted it to, so I was doing that.
Yeah.
And then I think through all like, so I appreciate no, it was really cute. I love the leadership stripes. I don't you do business. Commission?
Promotion.
Business promotion. Damn. Commission. Now I'm gonna, they have a spelling everything. That's all right. Okay, yeah, thank you. And we need to change the date. Date was actually. Yeah, I think I just made this at 10. And then. You are this guy. Or should I want the agenda on here? So yes, try. You're right. My bad. Should I do already the whole packet or just no, just the agenda? The only entire packet that we post is the word selectmen. Okay. And well, Mary said like us to post the entire packet for every application, which is probably for you see the design. Oh. Planning, so it was like, I was like, you can request this, technically, but that's super easy. Gotcha. When I go the show live on site. On that top, little top. Beautiful. Okay. Is that it? I think so. Let's go back to the Zoom. Is this one muted? The YouTube? It should be. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay, all right, and then we'll make sure the TVs are open. Do we need to leave that one? No. Thank you. Do I have to go to the back of this one or? No, this one's the front one and then, well, you can if you want, but it's hard. So I usually just do this one first out front. You wanna do input. Oh, I see. Is it PC or HDMI? PC. And then you go to the back of the song. Just never says that leads in there. You should do it on the left side and. Okay, thank you. Is it PC still? Yeah.
Then you gotta look at that one, make sure you didn't mess that one up.
That makes.
It's a never ending cycle.
Now do I have to switch? Jen used to just stand in the middle and go cover. I switched video to the owl, right? Yeah. And there's a audio. Yes, and then I typically will mute it. Arizona rep. I knew it fell to the ground, so I just left that. So I'll mute.
All right, I will call to order. You have to do something for me to. Then I might run the meeting today. Roll call, Craig Everson. Craig Everson,
He says panelist, please.
panelist.
Oh, he needs to be,
Oh, am I running this?
Yes.
And Kevin's. As in, like, I need to like as well, run the computer, hold on,
no, there's,
kind of games something.
she should be able to promote him from here.
This run on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
Well, Pamela, my daughter just had like her face around you.
Robert Jessica Pamela, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I volunteered this and I took the Georgetown Trust, really Gateway Visitor Center, so if you have a business, come talk to us.
Okay.
Welcome. Oh, Marvelous, I heard all about you. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you, welcome, I'm sorry, we're not usually late.
No worries.
Well, the schools are on a 2-hour delay, so I think we could perhaps, piggyback on that.
And my board's having a emergency meeting this afternoon and they're all Octogenarians, so we'll see what happens there.
Oh,
I'd rather get this done and out of the way, it's like 2 hours to start.
2 hour delay, really?
No,
I just got,
yeah,
I just got a message
Yes.
from school.
oh, they just have,
Yeah.
oh, so how can she
Oh,
start jumping up and down for joy yet?
They should have just found out.
Does she like that?
Here,
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry. I was ready, I wanted to pass.
Everybody gets in there.
Very nice.
We got him on,
Ah,
There's Greg. And then those.
can we hear you?
Yep.
There we go. All right, so we have a lot of new faces here and some people public, I just quickly go over what this board is. The Town of Georgetown Business Promotion Commission is an appointed board that enhances the economic climate in Georgetown, Colorado through marketing, events, and community outreach. The commission's goals are to support business license holders and nonprofit organizations to operate successfully and to create a positive experience for visitors. Roll call, Craig Abrahamson,
here,
Kevin Garrett,
here,
Paul Bose, here, Gary Haynes, here, Mariah George, Carrie Hagerman,
here.
Lauren Borgard. Awesome. All right,
And Mary Smith.
where are
Did
we?
I get up for nothing?
Oh, yeah, there you go, first second, sorry, yeah, it's something, you have your own little line here, Mary Smith. Ultimate member position is vacant currently. Okay, I think we all get emailed the agenda, go for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do we have a second?
1 second.
All discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Okay, at this moment, we have audience business. Each member of the audience of the public has 5 minutes to present a matter of interest, related to this board. That's already not on the agenda or on the agenda. No official action may be taken though, but we can listen. So, anyone? Want to
Well, you
make a
just
comment?
might put me on the agenda for the Parks and Rec times, or is that something you'd like me to?
Let's take a look, yes.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, you are on the actual agenda, so you don't have to speak right now, okay. Anyone else would like to? Anyone want to make any introductions, any business
Not
owners?
Sherry, please. I invited, so I'll make the introduction. I invited Pamela and her family to attend this morning. They are here temporarily as a quasi Christmas market vendor. They were one of our vendors last year. But the kiosks in the outside environment doesn't work for their business, so they were able to rent a storefront space and are operating through Christmas market and perhaps into the spring. They're very interested in Georgetown and perhaps becoming a more permanent fixture on Sixth Street. And so I invited them as a potential or as a business to come and listen and perhaps share some thoughts if you'd like.
Thank you. We love this town and we'd like to find a way to make our business work here. So I came in just to kind of hear what you guys are doing to promote the downtown. What could be done in the future, because we are primarily a Christmas store. We would have to find a way to get the public interested in us in the summertime. And we'd love to have a full-time Christmas store here. So we're just here to listen, to see what you do, what ideas you have. That would promote the downtown businesses and make it profitable for us to be here. So
Okay.
thanks for having us.
What's the name of your store?
Flying Pig Ornaments.
Flying Pig Ornaments, awesome. And you were a vendor here last year?
We were.
Were you successful?
We weren't not successful, in that we didn't lose money.
You're correct.
But we were also very late to the party, so we were in a container in a parking lot. And for us, if you come to our store and see us, it just was too small for us.
Okay,
So we're very excited to see what's gonna happen this year. So far, the people that have come in have been very positive, and things like, we love it, we'll be back. So we have high hopes.
awesome. Well, we're excited to have you and yeah, hopefully it becomes a mainstay, so. I said, where are y'all in from?
Arizona.
Arizona, okay, a little bit different climate up here right now.
That is kind of snowbird.
Yeah.
Go the other way.
Yeah, right.
If you need ornaments, they've got them.
Cool, welcome business owners and operators. Well, we would like to welcome you. This is the moment that we do welcome anyone that's doing anything new in this town. And do we have anyone else we would like to make mention that we know of?
I think officially now the store next to you is open. Right?
Yes.
The stage.
Yes, I don't know. I'm ashamed to say I don't know the exact name.
Yeah.
Sage something in Pixie Dust. They're open very sporadically. So if you see them open, go on in. It's really cool shop. It's a lot of local vendors, lots of art and kind of a metaphysical shop thing that they've got going on there. It's really beautiful. Kiwi's wonderful. They live down in Idaho Springs. So you see a bunch of kids running around.
Good. Minutes approval. So last time we met, we did not have a quorum, so I don't think we have minutes for that one. But we have 2 sets of minutes for a special meeting that was held on September 18th, 2025, and then a regular meeting of September 3rd, 2025. We'll start with September 3rd. I'd like to have a motion to approve.
I have some minor corrections to make that I'll submit to Bridget. They're just, we'll stick with minor. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
Okay. Second,
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay. The September 18 special meeting minutes, look for a motion to approve. Well,
Yes.
a second,
But they need to be corrected also.
okay,
Never mind.
So as corrected? Did you,
do we? want
So I'll
to-
make-
I move to approve the minutes as corrected.
That's correct.
Second,
Okay,
this is so.
discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay, new and unfinished business. Membership appointments, this is the big one. We have a couple of new faces here. Actually, a few new faces, which is great to see.
so I suggested that we put this number one on our agenda item because the code allows us to have 7 members and then additional alternate members. So we have, I don't know, count the names. So we need to decide who is going to be of our 3 new members, the commission, and then who's an alternate. And it comes into play because we have Kevin and Craig in attendance, so we basically have a full quorum plus alternates. The alternates can attend and participate, but they don't vote if they're not needed. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So out of the 3, we need to, the Board of Selectmen left it up to the Business Promotion Commission to make the decision as to who is going to be a regular member of Business Promotion Commission and who is going to be the alternate. So, like I say, count.
is that something that should be probably discussed now, or should that be like into a workshop or a special meeting?
Well, you've got an issue because we've got 3 people in the room who may not be voting on, have the right to vote on situations today because we have a full house otherwise.
Yes.
So it's all on you, Mr. Huggins. Take it away.
All right, Jeff Strauss.
I would suggest, because of availability and attendance, because we know the quorum is such, has
Yeah.
been so difficult for us. I mean, I was laughing with Mariah that here we are approving minutes where we welcomed her as a new business back in September, so we know the importance of that. I don't know how available everyone is to be able to attend in person or on Zoom. Kevin, your term, and I'm not trying to kick you out, Kevin's term is up in February, and he may or may not continue or want to continue to be on VPC. And I believe Gary, maybe, do you know when your term is up?
I don't.
So I believe there's another member's term that is up, so. So there may be an opportunity then for us to make some changes.
Yeah, and I think we could definitely go into that, but right now, we have a legacy forum at the moment of people who've been on the board. And so I think we can go to a vote of how we make sure we're filled with 7, so.
So right now, we've got 9 people. 2 of them have to be at least alternates until February where we can realign. So. That's what we have to decide between now, for now, until February.
What needs to be decided right now in this today's meeting?
Who's considered a regular commission member and who are the 2 alternates?
Okay,
So the alternates can participate, they sit at the table, they're full, but they don't vote unless
they're needed.
we're, yeah.
But if you're already a commission member, you can't step down to alternate, right?
Right, so if all of a sudden you. Well, I don't think I can because I'm kind of stuck as.
Yeah, your stock representative.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can or cannot, so it's a legacy.
So Paul, if you wanted to say, you know what, I'd rather be an alternate because I know the
I don't
changes
think
in
I'll
February.
step down. I think the people who are here who are new should be representative of it. I've been on long enough. I think same thing.
So
But I'm not-
you're not stepping down,
I'll step back.
you're changing your role to an alternate position between now and February when we're gonna have to
I'll do that.
look at this.
All right, real quick, between Carrie, Mariah, and Lauren, do either 3 of you feel like you have scheduled conflicts that you could not at least show up 80% of the required time of our meetings?
I know that I can be here, but if it is needed, then I can step back. I would like to be a voting member at some point, but I can.
Well, right now you don't foresee any schedule conflicts for you to give us attention.
All of a sudden, I'm
Okay.
reached out.
You will or
I will not.
will not?
Either.
Perfect. I mean, if you two are willing to step as
I don't know
alternates,
what he's doing.
Got it?
He's not talking.
I got it.
Laura, did you wanna stay as a full member until February, or would you like to be an alternate?
I think I think I'm a lame duck at this point, so why don't I become an alternate?
Okay, excellent. All right, so we just probably go a motion on this, right?
Sure.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to structure our board to where we have Mariah George, Carrie Hagerman, Lauren Borgard.
Yeah.
Are full members and moving Paul Boak and Kevin Carrick to alternate members.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, thank you, my pleasure. Well, we gotta do that one. Okay, marketing event manager introduction, which I need.
My name's Emily Berner. I started about 3 weeks ago, so I'm still in my rookie season. My background is primarily working in college athletics as well as retail marketing. So I spent a lot of time working in the Western fashion industry. So dealing with a lot of tradition meets trend and kind of navigating that scope of respecting tradition and values that we all hold, but meeting it with this new age that we are in. So I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to get to know all of you. I am very open to suggestions. I want to say criticism, but we all know that probably comes regardless a little bit. But yeah, anything, any feedback, I'd love to get to know all of you. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. You play a big role with our board, so we're happy to have you on.
We're thrilled. Appreciate it.
Move them up.
Yeah, I mean, why, I don't know why Parks signed his gas. We have a guest here. Oh, I used to speak though, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of if maybe there should be something that. Where's the Archway, because he's kind of related to that.
This time, if they stop with that.
Just, I'm trying to make sure that you can have some of the snow day.
Yeah.
Instead of standing.
Are you in a rush to go anywhere? Okay, we're gonna hang tight, if something carries on, we can move the two up, because you're related to the Arching Street Archway project proposal, so let's make sure you're ready for that, and so. Christmas market report.
There is going to be a Christmas market this weekend. Surprisingly, so.
I saw our new little, yes, it looked great.
Appreciate the guys preparing. The tent is arriving today. We have a 40 by 90 tent that's going to be constructed across the street at the Hotel de Paris parking lot. And we kick off Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. Everyone has a little brochure. I don't know if there's any questions.
There is gonna be a pop-up that's not listed on that. It's gonna be at the Haney Building. Called Gateway Outpost, and so it'll be a small shop that's in there.
Do you have a sign or anything, a sandwich board that you're gonna put at the corner of 6th and Taos so
Can I
that?
put one there, or I was gonna put one in front of the store? I don't have any signs yet. They are going to be made soon.
I would suggest putting one on the corner.
I would love to, but I don't want to.
I think the town is very flexible with, and
And
perhaps.
I'll make sure to do only ornaments, and they'll be all Arizona.
I get it.
It's say nonsense, it's the Gateway Business Center, and then we'll do information and allow people out, and we're gonna try to see how that flies for weekends. And so we'll have the same, like maps and nonsense that we carry over there, and then just the same stuff that is kind of a mix of what you see around, within our mission as a nonprofit. So I will make 2 signs. Thank you very much for that.
There is another addition to Christmas market this year. Clear Creek Inn has really stepped up and they are providing more of, they're calling it the I don't know, the experience, the magical experience, something, look in your brochure, I can know
The
that.
more we can pull out.
Holiday magic at Clear Creek Inn, thank you. And which is conveniently right at the shuttle bus stop, so we have worked with, HGI, I've got an HGI hat on here for a second. Have worked with the town and the town is going to make 7th Street a one-way going eastbound only from Brownell to Rose Street. So that the shuttle bus and traffic can be moving through there, but because we anticipate more pedestrian traffic than in that area because of the activities there. It's just a safer move. So. And there are fireworks scheduled for 5:30 on the 13th. So we're hoping that our guests and everyone else sticks around and enjoys. I do know that from the sample show on Halloween, you can see the fireworks all the way down to the lake, so I think that's gonna be great. I hope Cabin Creek takes advantage of that and you line up all your guests.
That's the idea. I got a question, I guess, for Dennis. The event parking lot is, I had mentioned to Kasia a couple months ago about getting it cleaned up, getting the millings out before they froze for the winter. And in the last couple weeks, it's now become inhabited with tree trimmers in their personal vehicles and their company vehicles. And driving by this morning, doesn't look like they're planning on moving out anytime soon. Are they going to be gone for Saturday?
Tomorrow.
Did you hear him? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Their permit expires on the 4th. And for everybody's information, we bargained with them, they removed the pile of brush that has long been a problem there at the event parking area in exchange for being able to use that part, that staging area for their activities for the last week and a half.
Which is a huge improvement. That's been, yeah.
We discovered a pile of dirt underneath that pile of brush. It was new to us, now we have that issue to be taken care of.
In Georgetown?
No.
Got a pile right for that.
Do we want to create burns?
Speaking with the Christmas market report, do we have any updates and whatnot on the fireworks? Is that going forward still? Every time?
For the Christmas market?
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah,
and what was that scheduled?
13.
They're gonna be fired off at the
Same.
parking lot of the Rufford over here.
And we're doing communication with everybody in the area so they understand that there's gonna be big booms and their pets might be impacted and all that stuff in advance.
What time is it? Are they going?
I think we're shooting for 5:30.
5:30.
Should we darken up? Yeah.
Yeah, it will be.
You know, with any firework display, it's always weather dependent, right? And especially in the winter with snow and all that, it's a different animal, so. We do have a plan in place if we do have to move it to the next day, and the fireworks vendor is very aware of that and accommodating. If anybody knows anything about the vendor has a stellar reputation of Super Bowl performances and Colorado Rockies and Denver Broncos and all that kind of stuff, so we're very happy to be partnering with them, and they've also done a lot of shows down in Idaho Springs over the years. So we're very happy with that. Kelly Babion, Chief Babion has reviewed everything and given them the okay for fire safety, so we're very excited and crossed our T's. And just as a reminder for the new people, the BPC is paying for this out of the lodging tax, and that is a great thing to be able to help the businesses in our community and keep people that are visiting Christmas market here longer to benefit them.
So we've asked all our vendors to stay longer, usually, but when we book them, you know, we put the hours from a Christmas market from 10 to 5, but we've encouraged them to stay longer just through the fireworks. Because that's the idea. We're encouraging, we are encouraging all of our shops to stay open longer. And, you know, so that gives the opportunity to our guests to be here. Because typically by 4:30, it gets really cold and dark and people start to leave. And so at least on Saturday, we're hoping that that's continued.
And we'll have the s'mores that Saturday as well on 6th.
Yes, they were figuring out the logistics of where to set them up, because all of the booths in Strauss Park will be occupied by the vendors, and even if the vendor were to close down for the day, all of their stuff is there. So, yeah, but we're working on that. So,
You wanna also, while you're talking about the park, mention Hop and Holly the weekend after?
Craig, what do you want to say about Hops and Holly?
Thank you, Board of Selectmen. Thank you, Dennis, for helping support that. I think ticket sales are going really well. We're up to, I think we're up to 8 breweries in addition to Cabin Creek now, including some fairly big names, which is great. The social media marketing is in full swing. I'm not sure if Sarah has reached out to get the BPC's social media accounts pushing it as well, but I'll reach out to her today and make sure that she's doing that. We've lowered ticket prices just so we can try and attract more people and keep more people around. But yeah, thanks to everybody for supporting that. We think it's a good thing for downtown, and we're excited to do it again.
And again, the town is supporting Hops and Holly, especially this year with that event. It's always piggybacked on Christmas market. It was a great idea that Cabin Creek came up with to extend the opportunity for Christmas market, in a sense, to be the third weekend of December. This is a, different twist to it. The 6th Street will be closed. It will be a similar footprint as to Christmas market. And I believe you have several vendors also lined up in Strauss Park, though your beer will be mainly distributed in the tent. You've got other outside vendors in Strauss Park to encourage the Christmas market feel throughout the town. And we do have the designated drinking zone for both Christmas market and Hops and Holly for the whole 6th Street area, so you can walk and drink as opposed to drink and drive.
Yeah, last I checked, I think we had 13 vendors, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So 13 vendors, 9 breweries, including Cabin Creek, live music from 1 to 5. Yeah, so it should be fun. Just so everybody knows it, you don't have to have a ticket to enter. The ticket gets you obviously the swag, the tasting glass, and then unlimited samples from all the breweries, and 1 free pint. But you can also just come in off the street and just buy a pint too from any of the breweries as well.
And you're gonna have a tap set up at Strauss Park also, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Of just Cabin Creek though. Not the other breweries.
That's a good question. Probably just Cabin Creek beer, but the way we do this is we buy the beer from the breweries, just like we would if we were pouring it over the bar at Cabin Creek. And so we could see if anybody wants to pony up some extra beer and have it over there at Strauss Park too. I'll ping Sarah with that one as well. It's a good question.
All right, we're excited.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Us too. Thanks again for the support.
Cool. All right, anything else on the Christmas market? I think we're good. Okay, 2026 budget approval. You want to go over this and have a discussion before we approve?
Well, can I jump in and say you've been through it 4 times now, and it hasn't changed that much. So you did a really good job the first 2 meetings that you looked through. The Board of Selectmen has had a work session 5 days, Mary, does that sound right? 5?
Only?
Yeah. And so this is pretty fine tuned, and I think just from the 30,000 foot level, the changes from last year include the cost sharing arrangement with the marketing and events manager, that's Anna. So we are doing a 75-25 split BPC's budget with the general fund budget, because we're also asking Anna to do some general communications for the town. Just makes sense. And then it also frees up some funding for the BPC to devote towards media buys or other projects such as, which is the second big thing that's in your budget, and that is the Gateway Arch project. So we have to do some structural engineering work. And then we also are devoting, I think at the bottom of the budget, you'll see $50,000 for capital outlay. That's just there so that we can get started on any actual brick and mortar work for next year. But the bulk of this is gonna be a 2027 capital project because we anticipate it's gonna be over $100,000 for the actual construction and the structure itself. And then I think that I want to point out while we're talking about the archway, the Parks Commission is initiating a project to install new signs on all of our parks. And Christian's here this evening, he's the chair of, or this morning, the Parks Commission is gonna talk about this, but in their budget, they also have a very similar system set up where they're gonna do the initial work for the park signs that are gonna be, they're gonna fit glove in hand with what the archway character is. And their budget includes money to start on that project in 26. So what BPC is doing is partnering up with the Parks Commission.
Awesome. We'll get more of that in the next couple line items. So a motion to approve,
Can I ask a question?
yes.
Why are we anticipating $10,000, not more than $10,000 more in lodging tax?
Well, because I initiated a short-term rental on my properties, the same process.
So just generally more,
That's a good question, Dennis, do you have an answer for that? Do we have an increase in lodging participation?
We anticipate a slight increase in all of our revenue funds. We applied a very conservative projection for lodging tax, for property taxes and sales tax of around 2 to 3% average between the funds. So we're anticipating, and you'll see, I think it's the second column from the right, it has our projected end revenue for that, based on how we have been progressing during the year. And that matches up with what we project to have for next year for the lodging tax revenue.
And real quick, I'd like to turn over to Carrie here, because she's the representative for Georgetown Lodge. Do you foresee any kind of increases, or have you seen a trend, or?
I absolutely do, and actually just Monday went over a year-over-year comparison with on our books. And so I don't think anybody would be surprised to know that travel has been down 23% this year. We are working, and one of the reasons I'm excited to be here is I'm working with a lot of our merchants here in town to, as a matter of fact, Craig, looking at being able to promote the businesses through lodging. So, you know, come in here, we'll give you a 25% off to Cabin Creek, or I've met with the new tea shop owners of the, can't remember her name, darn it, the lady with the paper shop, having workshops for our guests, things like that. So we're going to be doing retreats. We're going to be marketing just down into the city for retreats that will be inclusive of, you know, maybe we'll have yoga and Reiki or things like that. I'm really ramping up that kind of marketing, and this is not just a place to stay and go find something to do, but to integrate. And we've gotten a lot of really good feedback from that. And I anticipate absolutely that revenue will be increasing.
Awesome. Good to hear now. Okay, motion approved.
I can.
Yes.
Do we have-
Okay, you want to set the motion to approve?
Motion to
Do we have a
approve.
second? Discussion further? All in favor?
Aye.
Right, good. Approved.
Aye.
Okay. The 2025 annual report approval. Dennis, you wanna?
Yeah, we talked about this a few meetings ago, I think, but just for all transparency, this is a stab in the dark. This is different than what has done in the past, and we tried to simplify this in a Reader's Digest version as a letter from the chair. It was intended to be sent out in October, so if if there is anything that might be dated in that document, that now that we're in December, that we need to modify, we'll update that, but we're looking, basically, staff is asking for the BPC to say, yes, this is the format that we want. These are the major points that we want to make in this, annual report. And we are good with it as long as we can finish up the wordsmithing and then present to Craig for his signature, and then we'll mail those out as required by the code.
Okay. Craig, do you have anything you wanna add to this?
I don't
Absolutely.
know. I don't. I think it's, I think the format, I think the brief format's good though.
Okay, motion to approve.
So I would just like to ask that we add our new commission members on here.
Yep.
And otherwise, yeah, let's put our 2025 annual report to rest so that we can move forward to 2026. So I'll make a motion to approve. the report, just be updated with our new commission members and be then distributed as it's supposed to.
As a second,
Second.
right? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay, Georgetown Visitors Map Update. That was a little bit of a project. I reached out to a local cartoonist on this. I have not circled back on that. And I know if anyone else is doing the efforts on moving this forward, I believe this was the kind of that cartoon map that you see in a lot of towns. We had some examples of here in previous meetings.
Peter was able to track down some information from the county site too, and hopefully is or can share that information with Anna for further research.
Okay,
I would also like to ask that the visitor center has long paid for a few years now, we have the QR code map. And I would like to, I had some help in the beginning with that, I would like to have some more help with that, to make sure that the new businesses are added and just take the best out of tech, and if it's changed and it's updated, then we need to rethink what we're doing, but.
So that's something that you and Anna can connect
I
on.
just wanted to.
okay, so I guess maybe moving forward on the update is we are working on something, but should we kind of establish this as a 2026 goal to have a full revamp and coherent, cohesive, online and in print?
Yeah, the online map, whatever we're gonna do with it, I just don't wanna have it sitting there stagnant because I don't have that much staffing. And the other one, the print map, we go through thousands and thousands of those that we print in the house.
Really? Okay,
So just be aware of that. We have 500,000 people through there and we send about 10% down. And we pay for that at the visitor center, so I would love to, I mean, there's no set too, so, but just be aware we're gonna have to print a bunch.
Why are we printing it now?
Because the Gateway Visitor Center has donated those maps since the beginning of time. And so it's just easier for us to run them off on a laser printer because they're not full color. The ones we're talking about are usually done by, they're usually done by private companies. And then, as you would know, if you're in a hotel, they come to you all the time. And they say, if you want to be part of this, then you have to pay in. And so these private companies, they would pay to be part of it. But we try to make sure, because we don't have a chamber, and we have this kind of thing, visitor center, even though we're not a chamber or a town's promotion specifically, we want to make sure that people enjoy the historic preservation of the town and that they see what's going on, because historic preservation is what our actual focus is, but without a vibrant business community, it's pointless, right? So that's why we do it.
Right.
And it's just never been it's rarely been a joint effort since I've lived here in 15 years, but I would like to see that better, but as we move forward, the expensive kind of map, because those would cost us like $2 a piece possibly.
we'll find out how many, and if we know, we have a trajectory of knowing how many who's giving out and all that, so.
And the other thing with it is I didn't speak of much, but be aware too, you have to change them all the time, because as we know, businesses,
There we go,
flip over.
so, yeah, understood.
That's why we do advance. We can add a new business, we can change how we have.
So I think we,
Dennis wants to speak, sir.
I just wanted to offer that, Anna is working on after the new year, media campaign that she's putting together, she's gonna bring to you. I would suggest that this be a similar process. So at your next meeting, Anna will have a calendar or a schedule of how this is gonna be done. A schedule of how we would update this on a regular basis, maybe every quarter, you know, if there's new businesses, then we have to reprint. And so at the next meeting, I hope that she could have that all laid out for you and you could bless that as, yes, we're moving forward in this direction.
Cool. All right, well, I think we discussed that, so. Now, if we want, we can move the short-term rental discussion to the last and move on to the Argentine Archway project and parts, involvement with this. Would you be all right with that, Dennis?
Of course, I did look at the agenda packet this morning. Do you have the sample STR ordinance in the packet?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay,
That's all for you.
Then that's great.
Yeah, let's flip that. So we can.
Cool. Yeah, move. All right, so we have a lot of new people here. We've been working at some pros a while back and re-looking at reestablishing a new archway, similar that we already have, that's closer to the south on Argentine Street. So when you come in the roundabout, when you enter our community, you go around the roundabout, then Argentine, that heads, what direction is that? That is south.
South.
Yeah. Like say west because it runs parallel to something, but south, southwest, you get through, you know, a business area, there's been, you know, attempts and whatnot, creating a gateway development area, which we have filled a lot of that with the new lamp posts and sidewalks, et cetera, and improved conditions on that. And you get all the way to the firehouse before you see anything that has like welcome to Georgetown, and it's aged, and I'm sure most of us know what sign I'm talking about right now. It has been proposed to do a new sign and actually a location where a sign was a tent, because we have some foundations and remnants of that tent there. Right over at 11th and Argentine Street. It's the first access point into the historic neighborhood, right where Fall Bay is, just so everyone has a visual. I created maps, this seems to be the discussion that we have, like what exactly location we're talking about. So I'll pass those around.
So this is in addition to the signage that we already have.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna budget to remove the old sign. If there's a benefit to do so, we will do that at a date. Right now, we'll just keep both signs. And so. For you. You can pass these out to the stands there, so they could be involved with this. So over the last few months, I had it reach out to a couple different designers and whatnot. I had some conceptual designs put together. For those of you that have been previous meetings, I'm passing that up as well. So, that way. Okay. Okay, so the new update is we actually have one official proposal bid for this project. And that is in everyone's packet. This proposal was written up by a local gentleman, Chase Fabrication. His name is Andrew Whitliff, he lives in Empire. I have another fabricator down in Denver who has this on their desk, but have not put a proposal quite yet, and we could follow suit, just get a second bid. But as Dennis mentioned earlier, it is in this bid quote with engineering and everything else, it is over $100,000, $114,100. Which isn't too far off what I was kind of anticipating. It is a big structure, a lot of steel. And yeah, and so I guess what I've asked for in this discussion here is approval to move forward with exploratory of the viability of its location mainly. I think I heard rumors in previous meetings, and Craig might know the history of this better than I do, that when they made an attempt to put a archway project sign here, they ran some utilities of sorts that they had to either abandon the attempt or what? What was that? Craig, do you know?
Well, they didn't get utility locates and augured right through CDOT's brand new fiber optic line. But they went ahead and installed the footings. I don't think they were engineered for any particular loads or any particular structure, though. I think they were really intended to be more of a banner mount, foundations for a banner mount with using the old signposts. So they probably need to be removed and replaced anyway. And arguably they may want to be relocated too. So
Okay.
that's not a deal breaker.
No, so I guess steps forward is having some engineering, some locates, and exploring this vicinity and area of where we can actually put the caissons and footings, et cetera, to build this archway. So that way we don't get too far ahead of ourselves and find out we can't even put it in this area at all.
Yeah,
So,
it'd be worthwhile getting a hold of the Argentine Street construction documents for the stretch from 6th to 11th, because I think that those are going to have pretty accurate existing utility locations in them, which will be helpful. It would also serve as a reasonable base for a site plan. It should show the sidewalk, all of that stuff. So it would be a pretty good base. I'll see if I can dig that up. If I can't, I'm sure Cindy's got it too.
okay. Another thing I'd like to propose moving forward is having this fabricator, once they go out and try to get, some competing bids, either way, whether we do or not, we could probably have him come and explain his, approach on this, some of his concerns. Material choices, just from conversation with him myself. He expressed a lot of concern, he wanted to have a rusted patina look. There's some maintenance issues with that, versus powder coating the whole thing, et cetera, et cetera. So, I'd like to maybe propose, at a future meeting, whether it's the next meeting, as early as that, having him come in and having allocated time to explain his bid and, steps forward. And along with that is also probably, if we're comfortable, having him break out his, bid down to an exploratory design element, because he'll do the CAD drawings for us, et cetera. One of which he's like, yeah, the largest beam that we can get is 36 inches tall. Drawings I had aren't proportioned, so he would have to CAD that out to see if that's like, oh, is that the right kind of height that we're looking for on that type of beam, or are we gonna have to do a custom fabrication with plate steel, et cetera. So I think after that meeting, we can have him break out like a phased out work schedule for this project. So
all of that comes at a cost. And though we're coming in close, next Tuesday, the Board of Selectmen is reviewing the budget in its final form, correct, Dennis? So if there are, and we, in this commission, we have had continued discussions as to whether or not that projects like this are actually supported out of our funds or general funds.
That's right.
Have we in all the numbers that we've crunched over the last 5 meetings, have we included any kind of engineering or design work for this?
Yes. You'll look at the budget that we just adopted, there is a professional service line item. And we programmed money for the structural engineer. And the design,
So that includes this project.
yes.
Okay.
And then the very bottom line item under capital outlay with $50,000, and that is not going to get you very far, but it's gonna get a start in case you need to do any kind of construction work, or if we can get to the point time-wise that we can start, then we've got $50,000 that we can start doing that work. Also keep in mind that budgets are amendable, so if things progress quickly and you get some favorable bids from the fabricator or somebody else, we can always come back and readjust the budget in terms of getting started with construction earlier, and that includes the general fund budget, because the general fund budget and the capital improvement fund budget are really gonna be the driving force behind a project of this magnitude of $100,000 or more. The BPC's budget is not gonna be counted on to fund this project in its entirety, because you cannot have that much money in this fund and be able to support all the promotion and marketing efforts that you take on an annual basis.
Right, and that was our discussion in the past regarding signage as a whole, because we take on a lot of the burden of signage because it happens to direct people to business districts. However, we have always wondered if it shouldn't be a road and bridge issue, or if it shouldn't be within another bucket with our support. And so that's where our discussions previously in this budget, to Mary's point, were not that we would take that burden of the 50K, that we would be part of it, but not all of it or most of it, right?
Right.
Yeah, the scheme, I think, to this point, not scheme, strategy.
To be fair.
Is the BPC gets it teed up as a viable project, get it ready, and then the town takes on the budgeting and paying for the actual brick and mortar stuff that we have to do, which is gonna be expensive.
Thank you for that clarification.
And Kevin has, kind of been the driver of our signage. And we made some progress a year ago at this time with the new sign at the Gateway or at the visitor center. But Kevin, I don't wanna just push that back into the dust on the bookshelves. Didn't we have some additional signs that we were going to recommend for this upcoming year, and how are we, where are we with that?
Yeah, I came up with an inventory of signs, town-wide. Some that need repair or replacement or updating. But I think in the big scheme of things, to focus on the archway is the way to go. The signs that are in place that have aged and need some maintenance, it's the same thing as last year. It'll be the same thing as next year. It's just, maintenance. I don't think that's going to help benefit, the town's image that much to repair the sign that says, Bighorn Sheep viewing area. Those things are pretty beat up down by the lake. I think the archway is the way to go. And then once we get that in place, if there are any funds left over, then we start going through that inventory of signs again.
And there is a line item for signage as well here in our budget. So it's light, but for repairs and things, that would be a separate issue, or a separate fund.
Have you shared Kevin, our BPC's recommendations with Dennis? So that we're not starting from scratch, since we have a newer town administrator?
Not with Dennis, but it should be in the town's files. This goes back prior to Dennis's hiring.
I know, but let's refresh that, and so if you have an opportunity, at some point, the two of you to sit down and kind of bring him up, because we've been having conversations about signs off and on outside of the scope even of this meeting, and so let's,
Yeah, and then using my example of Bighorn sheep viewing area, to Paul's point, is that Parks and Rec or is it BPC? And so, that's sort of the conundrum is, we realize that part of our mission is to improve the visitor experience, which would include sheep viewing. And it's, not necessarily going to benefit businesses, but it could. And so those are the things, maybe we collaborate with some of these other commissions for sure.
And Mr. Kumar, to Mary's point, even though we've discussed this since Dennis has been here and you have shared that information since Dennis has been here, it would behoove us, behoove you and behoove us all, for you to share that, your research with the whole group, so they can understand better the budget they had to vote on their first meeting. And so, if you could get that, so those line items are there for us, and there we can know exactly what you've been working on for the last, I don't know, decade. And, so everybody's up to date, and that might help with all of us who have pet projects, because Mary is right on target as always.
Yeah, I will be back at work tomorrow. I'll see what I can get to you guys quickly.
Thanks.
If I could piggyback on that too, when I arrived, it seems like a lot of stuff had been dumped on the BPC and the funding for those things. And we are in the process of separating this back to its rightful place. So here's the strategy. The BPC is not just a source of funding. It is an advisory group that is leading the charge for marketing and promotion of the town. What that means to me is if this group says, hey, we need to look at, and this is an actual project that's just recently been discussed. There is a need for a directional sign near the roundabout so that when people come down off the highway, they see that historic Georgetown's that way, Cabin Creek is that way, the visitor center, well, you're obviously right there. But those types of things I would hope would originate here. That doesn't mean that you have to find the money in the BPC budget to pay for it. It could be a parks project, and we do have funding sprinkled out throughout these different departments in road and bridge for signs like wrong way, one way, stop sign replacement, street sign replacement, all that kind of stuff. We have park money budgeted for the park sign project, but also signs that might be in the park, like, pick up after your dogs kind of thing. So we have money that's spread out throughout the town's budget to pay for these different types of signs. And so I'm just kind of hoping that this group says, hey, we would like to do this kind of sign project, or we would like to refresh the bighorn sheep signs out of the viewing area. Then we can take that and come back to you and say, we want to pay for it out of this budget. I hope that helps to kind of quantify that. So I'm looking forward to Kevin's list, because that might run the gamut of street signs, road and bridge, park signs, or even BPC marketing initiatives.
I think mostly he's wayfinding. Concentrate on wayfinding during that project.
Yeah, let's not expect Dennis to dig it out of a file drawer, okay? I think the conversation between the two of you would be much more efficient and helpful to the town then.
I took into consideration wayfinding and directional, so that's what I was focusing on.
Good. We have Christian Wildon here for Parks and Rec. You'd like to take the floor and explain?
We're on such a topic of signs. For the last couple of months for Parks and Recreation, we've also had quite a few ideas and discussions on park signs. For the last year or so, we've had a lot of concepts and ideas. We're gonna have different parks going up quite in many different areas of Georgetown. We have a skate park that's going to be getting erected, a mountain bike park / pump track down at the Greenway Park. The Lake Lagoon project, there's going to be a walkway, some like park designs and stuff going up there. And then we had a discussion of having what the signs are going to look like. And we thought that the signage should all be very much the same, spread out with a theme. And we were on many different ideas on what those parks were going to look like. And then we caught wind of the BPC's idea for the archway. And we thought that'd be a good idea to piggyback kind of that theme, which I related it to the Georgetown Loop, is one of the biggest attractions in Georgetown, seeing the Devil's Gate Bridge with those steel I-beams. So I actually got together with Mike and we had a couple of ideas for the park signs to go up everywhere. And in front of you, I threw out a couple of papers of what those park signs were going to look like to match very much similarly what that archway is going to look like. And brought it to you guys today to see what you guys' thoughts on what those park signs are going to look like, so that we can probably get a jump on those. We were talking about trying to start these park signs sooner than later, because it's in the budget to do so. I believe the state park, we pushed to 2027 or at the end of 2026. 2027 is going to be a skate park. I think we're doing the mountain bike park this spring or starting this summer, so signage is something we'd like to at least get a jump on for improved sign, so that we can push that forward with parks.
And I think that comes back to if we're using Chase fabrication, if he's gonna do some CAD drawings.
And Chase actually reached out to me as well, since Mike had reached out to him for that gateway sign, and as soon as we get a sign idea approved. And how many signs we're going to need, then he can give us an actual quote, and what that's going to cost for him to do, if that's the guy that we go to for using the signage as well. And I don't know how many, we have 13 parks in Georgetown, a handful. I don't know if all 13 are going to be getting these new elaborate signs, or just the big ones that we have the new attractions to.
So I have two questions. You've been to the design review, correct?
Not yet. This was the first place I was told to stop.
Very cool. Because that's where we all will, because there is a sign ordinance and they're very specific.
Yep.
The second one is, I know that we're looking at Chase, we're looking at real IVs, but we've been working across the signs forever and moving to, to modern, synthetic materials sometimes instead of doing metal. That's someone else to look at, but they're very expensive as well. I mean, that's beautiful, where, it's just beautiful, it's not amazing. And as long, and I'm sure, because we were talking to TRC when we were looking at our designs over the time, we were talking about design review commission. We have an ordinance in town for everything in it. For town, and we're National Historic Landmark District, we'd like to make sure that things are moving. Anyway, we were, when Mike was working on this, we were very cautious about making sure that we're within that, sort of in that world, but they have control of it and then go up into anywhere, on the mountain for the 80 signs. If you're moving up to the mountain, then that also is the Historic District's Public Lands Commission. So just be aware of those bureaucratic hurdles. Right? But in a town of 10,000 people, but still, right? They're beautiful. We're awesome.
You don't have any other questions about the parks or park signs?
I think they look fantastic. I think that, two things that are important to consider would be like the life of the sign, like how much you're paying for it versus how long it's expected to last. And then also, how easy repairs are, or like changing like the actual sign part, like if the stand can stay and then the sign can come
So
off.
that's the concept in front of you that you can kind of see, that's those 4 bolts holding
Yeah.
that sign up. So it will be able to take down, replace, and send down repairs down to it. The structure itself, just like the archway sign, is going to be a steel post, concreted in with steel ivy going across that bolts that sign up. So we're hoping for a very long longevity of that sign.
Cool, so I think that this could still be like, something that we have to coordinate together, because I think we need to get with the fabricator and with the actual CAD drawings of. What they're gonna look like, so that way we do have actual materials, we're trying to keep the similarities of it, and then go to design review. To get them signed off on.
Right, and tomorrow we have our Parks and Rec meeting at 6 p.m. And so then we can discuss on exactly how many signs we want, which parks to get these signs, and then come up with a number for Chase and get together with them.
And that would be, yeah, I would say that we would have to break this up into like a design quote, engineering design quote, to where we can get the actual. Design of what we're building, and then it go up actual fabrication, manufacturing. And what it sounds like the approach with the parts signs is try to keep them all the same, and then have, a messaging area that to be changed for each part.
Yeah.
And so we would have a like standard design for the structure itself. And then we can talk about the quantities of the bids for which your department would handle.
Right.
And break that, so. Yeah, so I think to move forward, we're gonna have to get Chase over here to kind of give us a quote with that design phase. And who's gonna pay for that, how we get that together, so sounds good.
Garage side.
Yep.
Got a tent that needs to go up across the street. Did anybody from here park right across the street?
Yeah,
Parking lot?
ma'am.
Okay, that's one car, thank you.
Mhm.
Now
I did.
Find the other one. You did or did not?
In the lot.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, that's why you was cleaning it so thoroughly, it wasn't. Oh.
I was thinking that's right.
I was just trying to move to our front side, but
I just an alternate.
Little event coming up.
Every time you so thorough.
Okay, cool, easy. Guys talked about how large Hilton was.
We're not trying to go too big, obviously not super big, but the size hasn't yet to be really discussed. I was thinking 6 feet, 6 feet tall and all together at this time. You know, not too tall, so kids, you know, skate parks that are not by parks, they'd be like looking at that outside or anything like that. Just something that presents what our kids think the park and the amenities there. Don't need to future at that park.
Cool, that's where we are, discussion, I don't think we have anything to vote on other than, I think we expect our next meeting, having Andrew with Chase come in and do a presentation.
Just to be clear on the process for these signs, as Paul was pointing out, the BRC is gonna have to approve the sign. And then ultimately, the board selection is gonna have to approve the sign itself and what we wanna do in our park. So it's not a lengthy process, but there are steps that we need to follow that everybody gives it the green light. They need every 2 weeks. Yeah.
But I think, well, for us to go to BRC is have a clear, like, you know, visual and material selection, design, I think that.
DRC and the board of selectmen would need like quotes, numbers and all.
No, just design, just like, so like right now we have conceptuals, but we'll actually need the actual like breakdown from a professional. You know, illustrator, architect, engineer, it doesn't mean fully engineered. But at least, so we're not going back like, well, we can't use this material because of engineering.
So language with the posting beams.
Yeah, and so showing exactly this is hot rolled steel versus this or whatever, like he was talking about like different materials for different sign manufacturer, but like. Having like, I would say this come from our fabricator, because he's the one that's gonna have, we can be working with materials. And he seems to have access to the engineering, and some design software. I've not seen any of his designs, but. Whatever that's gonna cost to have him, you know, actually design these where we can go to both boards. And also, we'll go back to them for revisions, because if there's something they don't like on it, with material selection or the design or the elements. It'll be a back and forth with mainly design with you, I can see, they're selecting pretty easy going. With all that stuff, I think there's the final say that we move forward, and then we have to discuss budgeting, so we have to split departments. You know, is the budget's getting contributed to the archway side, compared to Parks and Rec, is there even Parks and Rec involved in this big archway side? Is it just road and bridge, or is there just town funds, you know? But we have to get the final design laid out where all the signs are gonna be the same bases that are made out of that material, the same type of steel, same type of rivets or whatever, you know, essence. You know, look, these are the portions of the park sign, this is the proportion of the archway sign. That gives you. So.
Excuse me.
I'll just go out there and push it.
Sorry. So we'll wait for Dennis to come back, to do the short-term rental discussion.
Any other questions or comments, concerns?
No, I think you have a snow day out of you.
Thank you for being so patient.
You're awesome.
You get your sled out or what?
Huh?
You have a sled out?
Yeah,
Storage?
she lives in her grandma, I believe.
Heck, yeah.
So we're gonna,
Yes, I know that was so fall.
we're gonna recommend that no short-term rentals at all anymore.
You're kind of discussion yet, small.
I want my voting.
Oh, yeah, and I'll be there too.
Yeah, no, I did see that.
Only if they're, if, that we cannot have them if they're owned by somebody who lives on Brown Street.
Ooh, dang.
Okay,
Have a good rest of the day.
Okay, take care.
Yeah, thanks, Christian.
This is about the extension, right, the temporary extension.
Oh, that, yeah, bro, it's fun hiking.
Yeah, upon hockey. So there was discussion over the time of. We have very limited short-term rental to long-term because we want to encourage long-term rental. But, and within reason. But the long-term discussion has been about things like pond hockey and when we need to get pillows. And so, people can stand with us. So, anyway, so that's where this, I think, where those two do.
And so then, are we waiting?
Well, Dennis has most of the information, if he wrote, we can, yeah, he's a driver out of this and.
I just have a question about it, I can wait.
Yeah,
Oh,
this,
we have discussion.
we're
fine for that.
Well, so we have, from last I saw recently, we have, I think, 22 people on a wait list for an STR license, so would those be the first people that we would offer this temporary 29-day?
I think that's 20. I think we were proposing for anyone and everyone, you know, it's just like, anyone can use it because.
So we can leave and rent our place out and not have to be here. Well, it's.
Yeah, but there's a dummy, you know, event, like, the main event is the pond hockey is a good example, like, I don't know how much. Well, that's why I'm so happy to have you on board, is like, give us a little bit of insight on lodging, from an operator standpoint. And, you know, like leaf peeping, you know, because my wife and I are, you know, initiating a short-term rental. And reason being mainly that's a commercial property. And we don't want, we would love to do something commercial with this, but we don't want to get locked up long-term deal. So, well, we're just learning, we've got that short-term and we're navigating the whole process and all that stuff and whatnot. And so like, for what this is being proposed is Pond Hockey is a perfect example. You're gonna have 2,700 people come in here, and rather than staying in Summit County, Evergreen, et cetera, how can we get them to stay as close to here?
So last February, by the end of the weekend, I had booked the lodge with all of those guys for this year, for this next pond hockey tournament. And now I'm actually overbooked because I had to have my maintenance man live on site because we have issues in the middle of the night sometimes. So I have less rooms than people that I've already booked. Then I live in Clear Creek condos. I'm the only person on my side of the building, 6 units. I'm the only permanent resident. The other 5 are short-term, and they were all pond hockey players as well. So definitely that.
But there's also the challenge. I lived in Atlanta during the Olympics. And people took advantage of that and kicked out long-term rentals. And emptied out their apartment. Now they failed because none of them could fill up, but that is a thing that people did. And they're gonna look at, I can make $1 gazillion for pond hockey, I can make $1 zillion at league season, and then what happens to the people that work here and live here? They get pushed out, so that's something to think about when you are voting on recommendation.
Yeah, but let's talk about the realities of like $1 billion that someone could potentially make from an actual having a long-term rental for the whole year, because pond hockey is the, I think, textbook example of the demand will be there. I don't know if leaf peeping creates demand for people staying there.
I don't know that it's a real thing anyway, it's perception, so if you have a person who is here, they have a especially a condo or a small home, right? They see it and they think, okay, I can make $10,000 there at pond hockey or something, because I'm gonna make, they do it. It happens, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah, people absolutely
There-
overthink.
There-
Kim and I literally bought our home right before our entire apartment community was kicked out of their house. Like our
Well,
entire.
there are laws in place that protect that protect residents from that kind of activity.
Okay.
And I mean, the intent, when I brought this forward, the intent of it was twofold, primarily to take advantage of non-owner occupied second homes, which we have a plethora of. Those are folks who aren't necessarily interested in jumping through the hoops of our short-term rental ordinance, nor are they maybe interested in doing that on an extended basis. They want to use their primary purpose of having their home is for them and their family to use. This is an opportunity for them, if they're not going to be using it for those particular dates, whatever the festival might be, whether it's pond hockey, Christmas market. Yes, they're going to make a little bit of money on it. That's not the driver behind this. The driver behind this is for us to be able to continue to attract these, and not one every weekend, but these large scale events that benefit the entirety of the business community, and indirectly through sales tax revenue, and creating jobs and income for our residents, supporting the local business infrastructure. So that's the intent behind this. I think, I don't think it's realistic to compare this to the Olympics, which is, an 8 to 10 week event with, it's just different. It's just different.
The landlord would not go to the trouble of trying to kick out their,
Well,
tenant
that's-
versus like work with a tenant, like, hey, can I get you to take a vacation?
So I'd be fine where we are with this, right? Because I understand the intent, but I also understand when you change ordinances and you change laws, that people see them in different ways and they take advantage of them. So two things also, short-term rentals, if you open a bed and breakfast in this town, you have to have somebody living on site. You have to have a certain amount of parking lots or spaces. You have to have a bunch of hoops that you jump through. Short-term rental, we don't necessarily have that. There's no one on site. It actually puts in, and I just want, before you vote on this, to recommend to consider these things. This is one reason the ordinance to limit short-term rentals with it, because people had people selling their units is like, oh, bring 20-something people because we have bunk beds here. And then they did, and then the guy next door has to put up a living room. And we have a B&B or an inn, we have an inn ordinance. I don't know if we've changed it recently, but it used to require all those hoops. Because I even remember when Clear Creek Inn was going in, I had to come here and help because he had to have a certain amount, he had to build a parking lot and approve it, all those things. We don't do that with the short-term rental. So these are when the ordinance goes in, and I'll stop, when the ordinance goes in, or when you shift it, we need more people to stay here for those events. Just remember that you can always go, oh, well, that's a big event, therefore we can do this. To skirt what we actually set in place to make sure that our town's moving from that.
Well, and then,
Turning it to, express review.
I just wanted to offer, Paul's bringing up some good questions, and I think that the point of this discussion is not just to say, yeah, we bless it or don't bless it, but identify the kind of program that you want in place.
Yeah.
The town has traditionally been very strict on short-term rentals. If you want to investigate this further, a lot of information is available on the website on STRs, including how many we currently have, and there's a cap per ward, right? And so you have to have, I think this is the most strict part of our regulation. You have to own the property for 2 years before you can apply. That's a big deal. That is demonstrating your commitment to the neighborhood that you want to locate this in, right? Because you have to live there for 2 years before you can even ask for a short-term rental. Then I think the caps are like at 11, 13 and 13, or right around there, and they're almost at, there's only a couple of STR applications available in each ward currently. So with that in mind, and the fact that the town's strategy has been strict on STRs, if this were to come forward, and this, what you have document you have here in place is basically just what Boulder's doing right now, with a couple of things changed so that it starts the conversation. But if you want to add some restrictions in terms of the owner has to be available or close by or within a certain proximity, by all means, let's add that right now, because that's the kind of advice that the Board of Selectmen is going to be asking for when they finally consider this, right? What are your concerns? And how do you propose that they be addressed by the board when they approve this? And I think that there is a balance that can be struck between our current STR, long-term STR strategy, and what this would be on an event by event basis and how it fits Georgetown, not Boulder, not Atlanta.
Well, Boulder, Crested View,
Yeah,
you know, any resort town that's kicked out all the people that live in there because.
Yeah, but Paul, the reason why they kick out is because it becomes a viable place.
Well, no, long term, yeah, but those people came, okay, so.
You know, like Crested View, where you
But I
have
don't think my
business share, okay?
Oh my God.
I just don't hire people in this town, I have to, and I will tell you, it is impossible.
I know it's hard.
Because no one can live here. And so, and that's one of the reasons for the original STR ordinance, was because we saw what was going on and the people that were in charge, I've never been an elected official, were in charge, saw what was going on throughout the country and the state. And we had to limit it so that we could make sure that we could take care of things. I am not against this. What I'm saying is, when it goes in, make sure that people who say, oh, I'm working within the law, but they're skirting the law at the same time.
We have been,
Watch it carefully.
Dennis is correct. We have one of the more strict STR ordinances of any tourism-based community in Colorado. In terms of the limits and in terms of the requirements that the owner must go through. The implementation of the short-term rental ordinance didn't solve our affordability issue. Our affordability issue is driven by owner occupied second homes. If you do it, just do a quick and dirty inventory south of 10th Street, just walk down the street and count how many vacant residents sit there that are not STRs. And they're there solely either as part of a family legacy or as a true second home. That's what drives our affordability issue, Paul, not short-term rentals. And this ordinance doesn't exacerbate the underlying problem, which is the second home ownership issue, which is a whole nother conversation. And we have ways, and we
short-term rental became a national issue. A lot of people have second homes because it's a business thing, and then we do have it in place to prevent people. One of the reasons it's so strict is to prevent investment companies coming in and borrowing large amounts of property. I'm done talking on it. I just want you, when you're doing it, to make sure that it's tight.
Our short-term rental ordinance has undergone several revisions over the years that I've been on the Board of Selectmen. It's can be a volatile conversation.
Yeah.
We have difficulties enforcing the ordinance that we have in place. We are trying to protect our residential communities. We've modified the code over the years. So though we may get to a point with this commission that we're endorsing this, I think as a Board of Selectmen, my first request to the rest of the board would be to have a community meeting so that the residents who could be impacted, maybe they would prefer to be next door to the vacant house that is the second, or the second home kind of thing, and it's only the family, as opposed to an event that is bringing in, a large amount of people for a short term, and that activity. We've limited the short term rentals as far as they can't even be, back to back on, or kitty corner from each other, and limited it in the blocks. And so I can see where in other times where we're trying to control traffic through a residential area down Rose Street for leaf peeping and to try to keep it, the residential community intact, are we then going the other way and blowing it up if we're hosting a large event where we need additional housing? So I think there's just so many factors that have to come into play, but then it still comes back down to how are we even, enforcing whatever we end up changing and implementing.
And the conundrum there too is that people who circumvent the law completely, we don't get the tax revenue for it at all.
Correct.
So there's that issue as well.
It has its positives, but.
I'm in, I want more people here.
Yeah, exactly.
it's
There's gonna be a
imperative.
lot
One of our responsibilities when we volunteer to sit on a commission like BPC or Parks or anything else is that we inform ourselves and have the entirety of the picture that we present. So a community meeting is a great idea, and I agree. Listen, I'm surrounded by second homes where I live. I'm surrounded by second homes. It's fine. You know, I would rather have a little bit more vibrant neighborhood, quite frankly. But I'm surrounded by second homes. That's the way it is. Um, it, yes, there may be somebody who would prefer that they live next to a second home that's used once every couple of months by a family from Denver or what have you. But they have to be informed about the bigger picture, because they've also got to appreciate and be presented with just how much of our town services and infrastructure improvements are paid for with sales tax revenue. I mean, it's not insignificant, and and you can have your cake, but you can't eat it too. You can't have low property tax rates and shun sales tax revenue, right? You've got to have a balance of both. Ask Silver Plume. They've got the highest property tax rates in Clear Creek County, and they still don't have enough money to support their infrastructure. But they also think it's cute to say, yeah, we don't really want businesses in Silver Plume. We're happy being quaint and quiet. Well, okay, that's the choice you make. We have to inform the people that we represent through our participation in this as to what the consequences are of, both decisions, whether to move forward with something like this or not, and not just one side.
So back to what's we'll sorry, that's real quick, just so we, I'm sure you can put us on track of this. We're only right now here discussing the temporary allowance of, for events and whatnot, and so. Please.
The only thing I wanted to add was, Paul is absolutely right to be talking about a warning lightly on this, because our experience here at the town, at least in the last 7 months that I've been here, is as soon as a for sale sign goes up on any property here, we are inundated with calls about people asking how do they get their short-term rental license. And we nip that in the bud by saying you gotta own the place for 2 years and then they go away, but it is an initial. There was a property over here on Rose that had been for sale for a long time, and I just saw the sign came down, but as soon as that sign went up, we got calls and calls because people wanted to buy it as an investment property to make it a short-term rental. And so if we were to step back even a little bit from the strictness that we have on our short-term rental ordinance, that would become even more of a problem and more of a problem. So it's good. We do have to, like, Craig is absolutely right. We live and die on sales tax, and I don't think we're in any position to change that anytime soon, to flip it to more of a reliance on property taxes, because then everybody that lives here is gonna have to foot the bill like they do with Silver Plume. So it is a balance. And I think that the board is going to be just interested in hearing your take on how that balance can be struck.
And don't you also have to have offsite parking for it to be a short-term rental as well?
You have to have on-site parking.
Or I'm sorry, onsite parking, you can't use offsite parking.
Right.
So, yeah, there's like a property that we bought, that was the whole reason that we got, the third bid or fourth bid down line, is everyone else wanted a short term, there's no place to park a car. They're probably the same matter, it's probably, we're talking about the brick house, probably the same case there.
They had no parking.
Yeah, there's no on-site parking, so therefore that shoots that down. So I know we have a lot of strong feelings about short terms. I personally think it needs to be a bigger meeting to look at a real strategy of how it's managed, because I don't wanna shoot ourselves in the foot, not have any short-term rental. Because I think that's what helps brings people here to spend money. And there's a plethora of empty houses that could be opportunities for those homeowners to get people to use those houses and get more activity here, because they're still sitting empty and they still drive up our costs of, home ownership here.
But
And
this
so,
isn't about short-term rental, this is about
very,
a
very short.
festival rental, so it's a completely different topic, really, it's not the same thing, and I don't mean to rush us along, because I have to leave in 15 minutes,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
just wanted to bring it back to this, we're not talking about short-term rentals, we're talking about a temporary festival, 29 days a year, it's not, it's a completely different topic.
And I think that's a really good point. If we rename it something other than short-term rentals and make it its own thing, then we can kind of build an entire platform for that and an entire system for just that is not tied into short-term rentals, and so there's no confusion, it's very specific. And I think that that's a really, really good point.
Special event rental.
Yeah, that's a great point, but I also want to point out that we have a cap on short-term rentals, right? And people have to come in, they have to fill out a form, pay a fee. I know that there are more than that existing and operating under the table out in the community. And you mentioned you have malls surrounding your condo unit. I can tell you right now, they're not all licensed.
I'm
And so that creates a policing nightmare for us. We have 4 people in our office, and we're constantly getting calls from people saying, hey, last night, our neighbors who are short-term rentals were up till 2 o'clock in the morning violating all of the noise ordinances, and we look and say they're not even listed here, so we have to go out and police that. And so you're right, it's not the same thing, but it will turn into the same thing and a problem if we're not careful.
And that's, I say that's awesome, let's have a whole board discussion on that another time, because there's a lot of things that we could have opportunities to collect on, whether it's a fee schedule, fines, et cetera, a new way of taxing them, stuff, et cetera. Back to this, obviously, I think majority of us are all for it, but yeah, we wanna avoid any kind of pitfalls of maybe even opening the door for someone who's like, well, I'm doing a special event, and so I think there's a lot of easy ways we can manage this with like, no, we dictate what those special events are most times. We make it where it's like, you're not paying the short-term rental fees of normal, but you're coming in, you have to document that you're going to be promoting and using this establishment for that special event. Because this will crack open the door further about the bad actors of like, how do we release the listings of that, and so.
I think maybe the Olympics might not be a relatable thing,
Excuse
for
me,
us to consider.
we have Olympic Village here.
But coming from Leadville, I'm really familiar with the race series, and I could not find a rental in Leadville where it wasn't written in, these weeks, you're not allowed to be in your home. And that created a big issue for all of us that lived and worked there, because then the long-term rental folks rent it out, but you can't be in your home the busiest time of season when you're working there.
Why is it?
Because all of the race series folks come in, all the people from the Lifetime race series.
Wait,
that
they
go
kick you
run-
out of your house?
They kick you out of your own house,
Your rental.
it's part of the lease, and you just have to agree to it,
And you just.
because there's no other
have to-
rentals available. So then you're sleeping on your friend's couch, or you're sleeping in your car at work. And I did this, I lived this for 2 years, so it's something that does happen, so we have to find a way to make sure that that's not happening to the people who live here and long-term rent here. And we have to get people interested in, maybe they, the people who don't already do short-term rental in their house, it's probably because they're not interested in having rentals out of their house, or a majority of them, so we have to incentivize those people to open up their homes, so it's not people who are already doing long-term rentals saying, oh, I can create additional revenue on the rental situation I already have going.
By setting up my lease that where my tenant has to agree
Right, because
out for.
if they catch on, then they put it in the lease, and then every long-term lease has that written in, and you're screwed as a renter.
And I think that's a real often putting,
It's tough,
wow.
it's really tough, and it
Yeah,
happens
for sure.
every summer in Leadville. On the same scale as probably Georgetown and C for special events, so it might be something we wanna examine and look at maybe what they're doing. Or come up with our own way to mitigate that risk for the residents who are living here long-term.
Cause on the other hand, right, like the house that we're talking about that just sold and stuff, and if they wanna use it 29 days a year, whatever we have for the thing. I'm okay figuring out keeping my car parked so I can park in the street, cause I park in the street, but at the same time, like, that is fine. But I don't wanna see, the people that work for me over at the visitor center saying, hey, what am I gonna do during the busy periods, but I'm home, put it in my house, what do I do? But it's not just, that's why I'm
No,
like,
it's
why
not
do
the
you feel that
other
it's.
But I'm trying to
but, yeah.
bring a more relatable.
But that's a big one, that's something you would put in, right?
It's a concern that we would have to have.
Like you could put it in there, like, hey, you can't change your long-term lease for this, I don't know.
Exactly, because it
Oh,
was painful, it was really rough, and you literally could not find a lease that didn't have that written in unless it was somebody who just was none the wiser and they were a new renter, a new leaser.
This obviously isn't a one and done conversation.
No, this is, well, I guess, it just does pertain to this agreement here, but like trying to like separate this so we're not going on these tangents, because we all have thoughts about how short-term rentals should be managed, but like.
Well-
how do we implement this? And this is something that we can always take back and stop, you know, I don't think it, right?
I think we should continue to.
No,
yeah,
I just wanted to, I think we can put a pin in this. At the risk of not sounding like the free market cheerleader that I actually am, there's been enough conversation today about the concerns over displacing long-term renters, that it's simply a matter, let's make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen that we think this is something worth pursuing. However, we think you should include under item B, some language that I'm sure Jerry will, or his cohorts will figure out a way to massage and not have it be a violation of private property rights, regarding displacement of long-term renters for this kind of activity. I mean, maybe you know, if maybe it's as simple as saying, if the property is under a long-term lease of more than 6 months, or maybe it's a year, it's not eligible for a license. And then we address
Well,
Paul's
that's
issue,
bad.
we address. Go ahead.
I guess wording of protection, protecting actual renters is, it'd be up to them to find this out, but if they find this document, then they could like present to the landlord, hey, you guys, you can't do this, you have this in your lease.
Yeah, but
To kick me out, you can't use this as short term for the special event rental.
Well, let's have the application for the license be basically an affidavit, and one of the questions is this property currently under, you know, a long-term lease? And if they say no and it is,
Current leaseholding. We have to approve the lease agreement that they have in place.
I like
So,
Cory's
I
idea.
don't think we want to go, we'll never get it done if we put too much of a burden on staff with this thing. Have them attest, right?
Okay.
Have them attest to it. If they lie about it, they have violated the law and we can pursue legal action.
Well, it'd be easy for them just to make a copy of the lease that they have right now and just staple it to it. We don't have to fully.
But all they got to do is say they don't have a lease. But then you just, I mean, if they're going to lie about it, they're just going to tell you they don't have a lease.
But we don't have to write all those conditions in now. This is something that would end up being recommended to staff to put a proposal together, to put the code together with input from our legal, who's Jerry Dahl, for those who may not know who he was referring to. And then it could come back to us, we could be in a position to better present it to the community, because we have to do that through first and second reading of codes anyway. I really like the idea of it as being a standalone code and not tied to the short-term rental. It's an event, special event rental, you know, whatever we call it, kind of thing. If that's the way that the commission wants to go, or do we want to talk about it again, because we do that a lot.
I have a couple of notes that I think, like, I'm very concerned living in the Lakeview flats, they're all empty. And those are all going to be like, and the property is not managed well at this time. And the person who built it is in charge of the HOA, so we don't have any say at this moment, which is not allowed, but it is what's going on. We don't have any say about how that gets run, and it is not going to be cleaned up afterwards. So we would allow developers to rent out their unused units for something like this. It is going to be a mess afterwards, and it's going to be a mess for me personally during it. So I think that that's something that is very concerning for me.
I agree with that. My daughter lives there as well, and it's vacant. I mean, for all intents and purposes.
And they're already doing month-to-month rentals, so if you give an opportunity to do a short-term rental, they're gonna take you up on that, and
Well, is it a month to month considered a short term?
it has to be 30 days, I believe.
Yeah,
It's
it's over 28 days, I think.
Yeah,
that's right.
Even then, we need to have some sort of verbiage that prevents them from kicking a month to month long-term renter out.
But even empty ones, like the empty units, they're gonna just put bad furniture in, cheap furniture, then they're gonna dump it all in the dumpster, it's gonna overflow the dumpster, it's not gonna get picked up, the people who have been there are gonna have trash everywhere that's not gonna get cleaned up, like, I have seen how they've been maintaining it so far, and if you add more people in, who are only there for a week, it is going to be bad.
Because it's not a hotel. It's not the intent, no, not set up for it.
And also, would we limit the number available per event, or can the whole town just rent out as?
This ordinance.
Those small things that we can do, we can add to the code, and we can still cap as a special event rental type thing, you know, and those, so I think we need the structure of what that might look like. And we all need to massage that and get that into a comfortable place where we're, and then bring that forward.
Because this is a yearly license, which of course, because they can't do it every week, if we have a thing, and suddenly you have 500 applications. But yearly license, so they give you your lease, well, then don't do the lease until later. Or don't do the month till later. And they get the yearly license and we can throw it in there.
Alright, next one's gonna be a great one to revisit this.
Yeah.
We have real quick, we had this document, you wanna, yeah,
So the light posts have the posts hanging out for banners to be on them. We have discovered that we don't put them that are in great condition for winter, so I would like to order some new ones now if I'm allowed to. So this is kind of the angle that we're going with. I don't think this was in the packet that we sent out yesterday, because I didn't put it on in time, I'm sorry. They will not have the black borders on them, that's just for purpose of the fact that some of them are white.
Yep.
But yeah, so I'm looking to add in some marketing strategies based on experience and kind of the timeless atmosphere that we have here, and so I'm really looking to gear these towards that portion of our brand. So with your permission, I would like to move forward on this, because obviously we are in winter season direction right now, and so these will go up. We will have ones for like pond hockey and stuff like that as well that we already have. But I would like these to be up when those things are not going on.
If we're hanging anything, we can't do white, it'll blend into the sky on a nice sunny day.
Beautiful.
We had a lot of problems with the existing banners that we had, and we ended up even changing or modifying the design after we spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on the designs. So what looks good on paper looks good. And, but I like it because it's very simple. I think a lot of ours are too busy and people can't read it, you know, so this can be eye-catching and, you know, but not the white, I would be
with that
concerned about the white.
consideration, we can leave it to you to modify it, but I approve it, do we want to set a motion for this? Good for, this fits in our budget, right?
Technically not an action item, I hate to be the rule police here, but that's who I am, it's in my DNA.
That's fine, that's probably easier.
But, yeah, right. But if there's a way that we can move forward on this, and it is in the budget, because it probably is, I mean, at this point. But we're also running, you know, are we talking getting these out this month?
Yeah,
Ideally, getting them, moving forward and getting them produced. I don't know what production timeline looks like is my thing, so I don't wanna.
we have vendor reviews in the past,
I'm
Yes,
still looking into all of that. The issue is that in order to use vendors and get quotes and stuff, I have to have these approved so that I can know what that cost looks like and know what design we're moving forward with. Or at least, you know, as loosely approved as we can go. I have not been told that we have a vendor that we use consistently. Nobody knew off the top of their heads as far as our office goes.
we can hunt down the name of who did these last signs that actually. I mean, they're gonna get beat up
Yeah.
because of the wind.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and as long as it's a budgeted item, or as long as we've got it in the budget, then we're on better ground to say, sure, we like this.
I don't get made my.
yeah, we like that, I mean, I think we can just make it a no item, but I also wanna make sure we go forward, like. We don't necessarily have to always have this as an action item, but like, at least. I don't want these being changed regularly without us knowing what the designs are gonna be.
Absolutely.
And have some sort of like level of awareness on it, so I say go forward because we're already in winter season, love to see them out there.
Likewise.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
And then I did notice, living down towards the lake, that, when signs were going up early this spring and the flower pots went up and what have you, there was a long stretch where we didn't have any signage at all. I believe I called Keisha, and, cause she's not too busy, you know, for
Yeah, that's right.
that at all. But yeah, so just make sure that we have enough, because that stretch between where I'm located, or the first roundabout to Cabin Creek, there were there was nothing.
And that's a lot of our winter experiences are gonna be down there.
It's all because that's a new road.
Yeah, we did,
That's all it is.
when all the new, when the banners were ordered a couple of years ago, that all wasn't.
Yeah, because that was last year that the
Yeah.
sidewalks were the first one, yes.
Ink Monster is one that we've used in the past.
Okay, beautiful, thank
They
you.
take about 4 weeks though. They're competitive pricing, they have good quality, but there are other organizations, but Ink Monster.
Thank
And
you.
it's MONSTR, there's no.
I have a meeting at 10, so I have to run.
Yeah,
Thank you.
anything else?
Thank you.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second, all right, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Tell me next time you guys are gonna discuss the short-term rental thingy and I was.
Saw that.